Okay, well, welcome to the Panic Room, and we are now on Tuesday, the Tuesday after Easter, and it's 8 to 10 minutes of pure panic with myself, David Robertson, and my colleague in Perth, Steve McAlpine. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm going well, Dave. I'm very well. Back into the post-holiday season. Why are you wearing sunglasses, by the way?
Because I hate looking at my own eyes. I have really horrible eyes. And someone once took a screenshot that made me look absolutely manic. And then whenever they posted about me on a militant secular website, they always put that as this crazy-eyed guy. So I just thought, I'm going to go with the cool look. And also, you're so cool with the beard, and I can't grow that beard. So I just thought, I want to be like Steve. So glasses is the nearest I can get to.
It looks more shady. If a militant secular site wanted to talk about you, they could do with those shades on. What's he hiding? That's what the question would be.
What am I hiding? Oh, well, the eyes are the mirror of the soul, and I don't want anyone to know what's in my soul.
No. So, hey, look,
what are you thinking about?
What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about, my wife and I were talking this morning as we went out for a walk with the dog. We have never seen so many people out running as we have this last few weeks. Everyone's a runner, not a jogger. Even Wilson has lost a lot of weight out running. See, people are thinking he's just shrunk. He's lost a few pounds.
Do you reckon if I started running, I mean, myself and my wife were out for a walk and all these people, like run past us and they all look mega lithe and fit. I just thought, maybe one day I could be like that.
Yeah, you've missed the bus, I think. I think the thing is, my wife is saying to me, it's an existential moment. Last week we talked about Arundhati Roy talking about a global moment, but I think it's more about a personal moment that people are thinking, I've got a couple of months of lockdown. By the time I spring like a butterfly from my, cocoon in a few months' time, I'm going to be a changed person. I've never seen so many people do it. And everyone seems to be taking these existential moments of lockdown. Now, I won't show you the other side of my face. I know you're hiding your eyes, but I've had to do this treatment of my face, which just strips layers of skin off my face because of the product of a misspent youth in Australian sun. And it looks so bad. But I think if I do it while it's locked down, I'll come back looking absolutely amazing. And I've got to say, it's a great product, but gee, I look terrible. And and if you could see me, I would look a little bit like this. That's what, if I turn my face.
Well, as long as you're not as evil as him.
No, I'm not as evil as he is. Not quite. But that's what I would look like. And I think that people are sort of doing things that they can spring forth from this seismic change. And after September 11, it's interesting that after September 11 in 2001, after the Twin Towers came down, a whole bunch of people died, but a whole bunch of people just disappeared and took the opportunity to leave families, leave work situations, leave difficult things, and just move on. What do you think about, Dave? That's just weird almost, but it's understandable.
It is weird. I remember a number of years ago, decades ago, in fact, in the United Kingdom, the BBC had a program about a guy called Reginald Perrin. It was a sitcom. And it was just this weird thing about this guy who took off all his clothes, swam into the sea, and then came back and started a new life. And I think sometimes people have fantasized about that and they've thought, like the 9/11, well, I was in the towers, so I'm just going to disappear and start a completely new life.
Yeah.
And I guess the idea of starting over is an attractive one in many ways. I mean, look at me. I left Scotland to come to Australia to start over. What was I escaping from?
Look, I'd like to know, but I'm sure I could find a few militant secular websites who could tell me. But
I think you could find a few Christian websites to tell you as well.
That's right. Well, it's interesting in light of the whole changing everything and seismic shifts. There's a fantastic Netflix series on at the moment. I've liked it anyway. It's not a series, just it's a one season series of about 6 or 7 episodes called Unorthodox. And it's about a young woman, Esty Shapiro, based on a true story, who escapes the Hasidic Orthodox community in Williamsburg in New York, which is an enclave of Orthodox Jewry. And she's been married. She's having trouble with, her husband, who's very well-meaning, but their relationship's poor. The marital relationships are not working, and it's so cloistered and claustrophobic that she somehow makes a seismic change, and she escapes to Berlin. But I want to show you a photo of what it was like for her on her wedding day. What she has to do, she has to completely shave her head. Now, part of the thing in the Hasidic Jewish community was that any woman with long hair, if her hair was out, that was the same as nudity. So you got a completely shaved head. That's her just before her wedding day, getting her head shaved. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're tempting me to watch it. I mean, we talk about people getting a new start. You know, we've talked a little bit about society getting a new start. And I often think I'm going to people, and to be honest, I don't really want to know too much about the mess that their life's in. A lot of it's none of my business, but I do want to be able to offer them a new start. If I asked you, someone's watching this and they're saying, well, what do you mean a new start? How can you have a new start without doing something drastic like pretending to be dead and then just coming back? How can you start all over again? I mean, in a Christian sense, how would you explain that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Let me backtrack on that and just say about in the series, Esti Shapiro has to move to Berlin, as you know, to get it. And you think of Hasidic Jewish New York and very free liberal Berlin, and the difference between those two places and how they clash. So it's very interesting. Go and watch it. But further to that question, I think we think, and this is something that if we can change things externally, they'll somehow leach into us and change us internally. Now, there's a certain level of truth to that. If you put different disciplines in your life, things will change. But from a Christian perspective, the whole point of the story in the Bible is that it's internal that exposes itself and then comes out as external. Jesus himself said, it isn't what goes into you that changes you or makes you unclean. He said, it's what comes out of you that makes you unclean. Yeah. And so when you know, that's a big difference, don't you think, Dave?
I think it's a huge difference. And I think the change that we need is internal. And that's the most difficult change of all, because all of us live in a self-absorbed world where our internality, if that is even a word, I'm just making it up, but where our internality governs everything. And yet it doesn't.
Yeah.
And we need to be changed internally. And that obviously affects the external, but it's impossible for us to do. You know, it's like swallowing a bar of soap thinking you can make yourself clean. You know, you can't.
And I think that's part of our cultural thing, is that somehow our deepest identities are internal, and if we can shape those, but I think you'll dig forever deep to try to find your true identity inside you and never reach the bottom. Now, it's interesting, in light of Unorthodox and that Hasidic Jewish community, one of the people that Jesus confronts or comes to see Jesus is a man called Nicodemus, who comes to Jesus at night. He's from the same kind of community. The Pharisees of Jesus' day were the ultra-Orthodox Jews. And they thought by external rules, they could somehow be acceptable to God's kingdom or change themselves externally. And what does Jesus say to Nicodemus?
Well, obviously he says to me that he has to be born again. And unfortunately, that's a phrase that's become very, very demeaned. I think it's something that we will come back to. I think tomorrow we are going to look at something that talks about the light within. And basically, the light within is darkness. And we're going to see how, I think we'll continue this theme of internal change. But I'm just going to finish with this. In the thought of Nicodemus going to Jesus and talking about the need for change from within, the Nine Inch Nails song Hurt, made famous by Johnny Cash, has these words at the end. If I could start again 1,000,000 miles away, I would keep myself. I would find a way. Like Esti Shapiro is looking to go to Berlin to find a different person. But this song is saying that I would keep myself. And it might mean that I'd be able to, fund my life and look after myself. But it might also mean that, in the words of the song, he'll still stay the same person inside. He'll keep who he is. And that isn't, if you see the words of the song, that's not a very nice thing. Yeah, I agree. All right, we shall see you folks tomorrow on Wednesday.